I feel like when you're learning, when you're like not in your career just yet, that's like the mindset. It's like, oh yeah, find a good job, a place you could go, retire, yada yada yada. But I feel like this new age thing, like um what's her name? Bozeman St. John.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, she's
that's a whole
there for a
conversation.
year.
Yeah,
There
she's
for a year and
there.
gone the next.
She's gone. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I like that. I mean, shout
Pop,
out to my
pop,
current
pop.
employers.
Yes,
I ain't leaving anytime soon. Shout out to them. Shout out to them. We ain't go. We
yes.
ain't go. But yeah, but I'm excited. What's up, to live? How you doing, to leave? What's up? Thank you for joining. Yeah. So, that thought right there. Actually, I want to ask you about that, and we could get into
Yeah,
the full conversation. You see, you've never actually felt like I'm a for lifer.
yeah.
Um, did you just like out the gate when you first the job? You're just like, sure, I'm just here for a little bit, or like what? Take me through that mindset.
Yeah. So like it's interesting because I started my career off as a post grad intern, and
Mm.
then I went into a trainee program. So like those like rotational programs that people do that's blowing up right now. That was sort of my journey, but like instead of rotating, I was on a team permanently, and it was temporary. And then they extended an offer to me, so I became permanent before my program was even over.
Oh wow.
Um, but my friends, they were even like, you sound like you want to be like a forever intern. And I was like, I kind of do. Like, I just like doing a bunch of different things. I was like, is that an option? Can I just be like a forever trainee, a forever
Mhm.
intern? And the answer, if anybody's out there listening, is kind of yeah. You can be a consultant or like a freelancer, and that, or the real thing is when you start doing those parental and maternal leave contracts, and
Mm.
that's like 6 months, 5 months, you are forever intern if you can figure out how to hop from contract to contract. But I didn't know about that at the beginning of my career. But at the very beginning, I got spoiled. Like, I started off in tech, and I was like, "Ooh, let me what bagels and like my smoothies and shakes and like my salads, and we got workshops every day, and I got paid time off as an intern." I'm like, wait a second, I am so spoiled. And then after I left tech, I went into a media company that was, it was like low key. Like, you could tell they were trying to attract the new age, new talent. So trying to like kind of compete with tech a little bit, but they knew they were media, so they couldn't go too far.
Mm.
But we had like a Starbucks on campus. Like, my friends would come visit, and they're like, "This looks like a college campus." Some people would come to work with pajamas on. I was like, this is like where I landed at the beginning of my career. And I was like, I can see why people become lifers here. But I kept telling myself, I was like, I cannot be a lifer. I know I've seen like what tech can do. I've seen the limitations of like the media industry already so young in my career. So I was like, I know this is a great place to start and a great place to end, but I cannot be here my entire career. I just knew it.
Mm.
So that was my mindset. Um, but of course, I learned a lot, and I let curiosity like control where I wanted to go. Like, I was having coffee chats like nobody else. I was doing like things like hackathons because I was a tech girly. So like, naturally, when you're curious and you're like out in the community, you're meeting different people, you start to learn about different industries and like what's possible, especially if you're in a role and you feel like you're being limited a little bit, and you talk to
Mhm.
someone else and they're like, no, that's not like a problem in my industry or my role. Your mind starts to wander a little bit. So that's where my mindset has been. I just let my curiosity lead me, and that's been my driving force.
It's funny you say you like. I believe you said you were a tech girly, but you out here with
I'm
like a
still
whole AI software and stuff.
okay. I'm still a
Like
tech girl.
what's going on?
All right, I'm still a tech girly. Okay, let me talk about that a little bit. I always say that I have one foot in, one foot out. Like, I'm not coding a bunch of stuff. I'm not like deep in Silicon Valley, but like it's a mindset thing. Like if
Mm,
you talk the lingo, if you're building systems and tools, even if you're not the one physically coding it, you're still a tech person. So yeah, I don't want anyone out there to think they're not a tech girly or a tech guy or gal or whatever, just because they're not coding the thing. So
okay. I feel it. It sounds like you don't want all the coders to come at you. That's what it
yeah,
sounds
I'm like,
like.
whoa. Yeah.
I feel that. No, that's real. That's real. Because you could say like you could be in marketing and say you, oh yeah, you a tech person, but you in
You
the
are.
tech industry, you know the
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Now
all the
look,
ecosystem.
yes. That's how it, like, the way that I like to look at it. I think there's the tech industry. So when
Hmm.
a lot of people say they want to work in tech, they're talking about the industry of tech. But every
Yeah,
business has something that's tech enabled, or they
they
use
want those tech
technology.
paychecks.
Yes, yes. They want tech paychecks. That is it. Because I worked in MarTech and media, and like my MarTech paycheck didn't match up with what the MarTech would have looked like if I worked at Google, you know? So
Was not the
um,
same.
yeah, that is what it
Yeah. Right. I'm
is.
gonna find that Tech Mar. Where's that Tech Mar at?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. All right, so okay, and I told you, I told Deja right before this that like we might have to throw out the whole runner show. We're gonna keep talking about the toxic thing actually because it is really important. But
Yep.
there's one other question. I think it actually like kind of plays into this whole conversation as well. Um, at a conversation once with the manager about growth, and I remember they asked me, do I want to be a manager? And I, I paused and I was like, I felt like I did, I had never like been asked this directly before. And also I was thinking like, okay, well, I don't know how to explain this for real. Like I can definitely be a manager. I like supporting like in my whole mindset of being a manager is I think different from like the kind of typical stuff. Like I like to be able to support people and take ownership of projects. Um, I don't like that stress that where you kind of become the company type of thing. And then also, if I don't align with certain things, I don't want to represent a certain policy and push a policy that I don't fully agree with. Honestly, I just want to be out here and making more money. So, like, yeah, I can explain it better now, but I wasn't sure how to say that to my boss. So, let me ask you this: you said you were like trying to be an intern for life, right? But when you think about career growth, a common path for growth and making more money is getting into management. So, during your adventures in all these places like what is your idea of growth and has being a manager is that something you were trying to do at all?
No. I don't like I love supporting people, but I knew early on in my career, I was like, I do not want to be a manager of people. If I'm a
Hmm.
manager, I'm a manager of content, of process, of whatever I've been hired to do. I manage that thing and everybody else leaves me alone. Like I don't I was just talking on another chat and I was like, I don't like office politics. And a lot of times when you're a manager or you lead a team, you have to deal with like interpersonal issues or challenges. You have to be the go between or middleman between like people who are above you and your team. If someone's underperforming, you got to step in to try to figure out why and like help them. So then you're doing your job and their job. Um,
Hmm.
Early in my career, I was giving managerial tasks because my manager decided to leave the company. And then they kept hiring people in. And I was the person on the team who knew how to do everything. Like I was project manager, I was like marketing specialist. And then we hired like contractors and they would like push them onto me. And I was managing their onboarding. And then like when someone didn't do something, I was like, ooh, I'm getting a taste of management. I don't like this. So like I knew early on in my career that I didn't want to be a manager. But
Hmm.
in saying that, I started to learn that there were other ways for career growth. So a lot of it is tied to titles. So like I mentioned, I started off as a trainee, then a coordinator, then a specialist. And depending on the company that you work for, those level ups come with like bumps in pay.